My own name is John Mull, and just over 2 years ago I was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer, and since that time I've had a significant amount of treatment. I guess I've had chemotherapy, I've had surgery abroad, and I've had radiotherapy back home. And over the last number of years I've also been on hormone treatment, which is par for the course when it comes to advanced prostate cancer. That's exactly the point. I am immunocompromised, and so are hundreds, if not thousands, of others like me. And that's exactly the point, that the coronavirus, there's such an element of the unknown, and it's spreading so quickly. And for people like myself, it's a significant danger to life itself in some cases. And there's a lot of things that we can do to ensure that we halt, insofar as we can, the spread of the virus. And that's where I want to use my own voice to try and get that message out to others, that if we do the basics right from the ground up and the inside out, we really can help ourselves. Heed the advice, but be very wary too of what you read, what you hear, what you see. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of scaremongering in terms of numbers and in terms of potential fatalities, etc. But if we get the basics right, if we get hygiene right, if we keep our distance when in public spaces, and it's so easy. We're going to have to change how we operate, and not just in terms of for the duration of the activity or the coronavirus itself. This is something I think that's going to change what we do from this point forward. Simple little things like washing your hands and how to wash your hands. Even myself, up until very recently, to wash my hands took all of 3 or 4 seconds. I'm after realising that doesn't wash your hands, that only wets your hands. To wash your hands takes at least 15 to 20 seconds. I'm told if I sing happy birthday twice whilst washing my hands, and you have to get in and out between the fingers, the palms of your hand, the wrists of your hand. These are things we must do. Surfaces, keep them clean. It's an airborne virus that you can only get when in relatively close contact with someone that has it. But for those that are immunocompromised, there are things we can do. But don't for a moment think, especially the elderly that might be immunocompromised, or indeed the elderly themselves. It's not something that they need to be, I think, overly concerned, yes, but not scared at this point in time. And the point is that at this point in time, we need to start heeding the advice, but also those that are implementing those procedures need to start heeding the advice that possibly they're given from other sources. For example, Vicky Phelan of late has been given quite an amount of advice on how she thinks, she's immunocompromised herself, and how she thinks that the government could implement various different procedures and policies that would help us all. And it's not just for the Department of Health, etc. They have to listen to what the people are saying as well, and a combination of both, and we can ensure that we halt the spread of this. You just said it there, just support each other and talk about it. It's awareness. It's like any other health issue. It's awareness is absolutely vital. And for example, my own family here, our own children, we've talked about it. We know the do's and don'ts, and it does take a bit of getting used to. Even a simple thing like a handshake or a hug. We don't go there for the time being, and you have to just think slightly ahead of yourself, because you tend to do things shaking someone's hand. You just do it instinctively, and lives go on as per relatively normal, and that's key as well. That it doesn't have to mean that everything has to come to a stop. It just means that we have to think about what we're doing in relation to what is the coronavirus, and what we can do inside and outside the home can effectively, change things for the greater good in that regard, but it doesn't have to mean drastic change all around. General population is to heed the advice from a single source. The HSE, its own website, is very, very good, and the videos that they have produced are very simple, very, very effective. Heed the simple advice and don't think for a moment that it cannot affect you. It can affect each and every one of us, maybe not to the point of being diagnosed or indeed to the point of it being troublesome to yourself. You may be a carrier which might infect somebody else. Like, for example, children, for the most part, it's very, very mild if they are diagnosed with the coronavirus or Covid-19 as it's now known. But whilst they might not, it might not be problematic for them, the fact that they're a carrier would be problematic for others. So for the general populace, just get the basics right. Hygiene. We need, when we go outside, not to get, just don't get too close to too many. Large gatherings are an absolute no-no for the moment, and that does worry me. I think there are more things that we can be doing and should be doing, and we're a little bit reactionary at the moment, where we need to be a little bit more proactive, because we are ahead of the curve. Whilst it has the amount of diagnoses have risen substantially over the last week, we're still well ahead of the curve, possibly because we're on the periphery of Europe. We're an island nation, and we can use that very fact to help us moving forward. I'd say open your eyes and listen as well. Listen, you can see all over the world there are people dying. The amount of people in Italy alone over the last number of days that have died from this. There are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of cases that remain undiagnosed. The point being that, we can choose to turn a blind eye because we don't see it or it hasn't directly affected us yet. But as with any virus of this nature, if we don't heed the advice, it will be coming to your door. And it's as simple as that. Maybe not directly, but certainly indirectly. And it's important for any one of us that has chosen to speak up and to speak out, is to keep getting that message across, that this is not something that's going to affect somebody else. It affects absolutely, as a nation, each and every one of us. I have heard, but people have been in actual contact with me that whose loved ones have been diagnosed, and they've been asking me, and amongst many other advocates alike, to get the message out there, to heed the advice given. It will come to all our doorsteps in some way, shape or form. As I said, maybe not directly, but we must heed the simple advice given from a single source, and I think the HSE is the best place to start in that regard. Yeah, I think at the moment we're a little bit reactive to what's going on. We need to be more proactive. Tracers in the community, that people that have been in contact with someone that has been diagnosed. I think at the moment we have about 60. We need thousands. We need several thousand in order to stop the spread of this. We need to start listening to doctors, to GPs, and travel is a serious concern for me. I, for the life of me, can't understand how we're allowing travel in and out from affected areas, although I believe that the Italian nation is all but grounded at the moment from, I think, this morning. But in any event, there are hundreds of other destinations where the coronavirus is, I won't say rampant, but it is there. And we have free travel in Europe, but at some point it shouldn't take a meeting of EU ministers and EU heads of state to determine, we should stop travel. As an island nation, we can take that decision for ourselves. And I'm not advocating that we call a halt to everything, but we can certainly protect ourselves a little bit more than we are doing because there seems to be no restrictions in place at the moment. And I would urge the powers that be, when it comes to travel, because we are an island nation, we can help ourselves an awful lot more in that regard than we are currently doing.